Hello, my name is Gerald, and I want to thank you so much for showing up today. In these videos, I will always speak directly to you and never ask anything of you, as I hope you return the favor. As such, I will likely stumble over my words occasionally and even lose my train of thought. During this discussion, I will begin explaining how I have built my savings account, as I explained my strategy for ensuring that your savings account does not become depleted in the previous video of this series. To recap, you must treat your savings account as a bank, which will loan you money, but requires you to pay back the loan at some kind of interest rate or flat rate. As I said, for me it's $10. No matter how much I'm borrowing from my savings account, I always pay myself back the original loan and then an extra $10 payment, and then an additional $10 payment for every pay period that passes before I'm able to pay back the loan. Do not allow yourself to take out money from your savings account without repaying that money, even if it takes many payments. Alright, so the first strategy that I have for building your savings account is to create a savings schedule. Like, this is the most simplistic thing. Anybody will tell you this. You have to stick to a savings schedule. And also, I do want to note right now that nothing I ever say or on my channel, nothing will ever be financial advice. So yeah, creating a savings schedule. Even if it's not a whole lot of money that you're able to save, at least save some every single paycheck. Even if it's just $10 or $5 or whatever position you're in, save some amount. And try to save a percentage. That way, if you do get a raise, then it's factored in and you're actually saving more money. But you do just have to make sure that you stick to your savings schedule. That's the hardest thing, is you'll think of something, you'll be like, oh man, I really want to buy that new blah, blah, blah. But if you can't buy that new blah, blah, blah and still stick to your savings schedule, then you probably shouldn't buy it. Unless you really, really want it, let's be honest. But no. You have to stick to the savings schedule, because otherwise your savings account is going to look meek. And a good strategy for that, so it's very hard for humans, I think, to see the money in your bank account and to take it and say, okay, I got to take 10% of this, whatever it is. I got to take $100 and I got to put it in my savings account. And it's just a sad thing. It's like, oh, but I want the $100. I want to go out to dinner 3 times this week, or whatever it is. So a way to solve that problem is automatic deposit. If you are lucky enough to work for somebody who allows you to automatically deposit your money into your bank, likely they'll allow you to choose a percentage or a flat rate that you'll be depositing directly into your savings account. That way you never even see it. You don't even know it really existed. It just disappears. You get used to it. You don't even think about it anymore. And that's a beautiful thing, and it'll save you a lot of heartbreak, I think, rather than just taking that money out yourself from your checking account and putting it in your savings account. So yeah, if you can do something like that, do it. And there's also things like Acorn, I think is a service. I mean, I just use automatic deposit, but there's other services that allow you to do a similar thing, even if you don't have direct deposit, where you can choose an amount that should go into your savings account. All right, so the second strategy is a little bit more abstract, and it's different for everybody. So it's harder to, it's not as simplistic, is what I'm saying. Like, it's very obvious that, okay, yeah, you should deposit a certain percentage or a certain amount of your savings, or of your paycheck, into your savings every pay period. But the little things do matter, and they matter more than it seems. For example, that $3 energy drink that you buy every day at the gas station while you're at work, stop buying it. Stop buying it. Start putting that $3 a day in your savings account. It'll add up faster than you can even imagine. Like, you need to assess how much joy that energy drink brings to you. And if you find that it does bring you a lot of joy, then find an acceptable alternative. For example, drinking coffee or buying a pack of energy drinks at Costco to cut the costs down. If you're able to buy it wholesale, you'll have more money to save. Make sure that you track how much you are saving and put that money instead in your savings account each pay period. For myself, I began drinking a canned Coke, which is less than 50 cents, but still brought me a similar benefit of caffeine and sugar to keep me going while at work, and allowed me to save much more each month. If you do this with many things that you consume daily, the deposits into your savings account will accumulate quite quickly. Another example of something that you can do is if you have decent credit, you can probably get a credit card that gives you 1 to 2% cash back, which sounds like a very small amount, but it actually adds up very quickly, especially if you're able to put like car payments or your rent or something like that on it. And it is kind of a dangerous thing, having a credit card. I avoided it for a very, very long time. It was only until like 2 or so years ago that I actually opened up a credit card account that was purely in my name. And it is just a scary thing, you know. And if you're super nervous about it, if you're nervous that your spending will get out of control, then start out by paying it back every single week. You know, don't just pay it back at the end of the month when it turns out to be this huge amount, like $1,000, and you're like, oh my gosh, did I really spend $1,000? No, just pay it back weekly, or even like twice a week, if it makes you feel more comfortable. Do not rack up credit card debt. I mean, that goes without saying, guys. Like I don't. If you're here, you probably already know that. So there's really no reason for me to say it. Another example is like taking things back and laziness. Like if you get some rotten fruit at the grocery store, you're probably thinking, oh, I don't want to go out of my way and take it back. I don't want to deal with like having to talk to the guy at the return counter or whatever like that, or whatever it is. Or if it's something else you purchased, maybe a larger purchase, and you're just not very happy with it, take it back. Don't be lazy. Like you just, I don't know. And then take that money and put it straight into your savings account, because it was out of your account once. You obviously don't need it, right? So chuck it in your savings account. Also, sell what's in your attic and the things that you no longer use. If something no longer brings you joy, sell it. I mean, there are so many sites that you can sell stuff on: Mercari, eBay, Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist. There's just like a lot of ways that you can sell things very, very easily for very little cost. And when you sell it, don't put it in your bank account. Don't put it in your checking account. Put it straight into your savings account. Another thing, okay, so this is something that I've been super lazy about. Don't judge me too much, guys. I'm so sorry. I need to follow my own advice here. So car insurance charges me for auto payments. So the amount is automatically taken out of my checking account every single month to pay my car insurance. So they charge me a certain amount of money every single month to do that. Pay it up front. For me, it's $5. Take that $5, put it straight into your savings account. And oh man, you just do enough things like this and your savings account's going to grow like crazy. It's wild. Like, as I've begun to do these things, it's just wild how much money I've been able to save. All right, another example is if your internet goes out, call Comcast and demand a $5 to $10 credit on your account. If it's a local outage, they will do it. They'll do it. So call them. Don't be lazy. Just call them. And bam, that's $5 to $10 straight into your savings account. Argue with call centers whenever you can. Whenever you're on the phone with a call center, if they charge you some type of fee, some type of booking fee that they're refusing to refund, if you're going on a trip and you had to cancel your trip, argue with them. Just argue with them. Come up with some sob story so that they will waive your fees, especially if it's bank fees, if it's late fees, like on a payment, or bank fees. If you overdrew your account, they'll waive them. They'll waive them. If you just make a little bit of a stink, they will waive them. Phone bills, if you're not happy with your phone service, if you think it's too much, threaten to switch services and ask if there are any special offers that they could offer you in order to not switch services. And oftentimes they will lower your rate that you're paying. Like, that is a relatively competitive market. And so if you realize that something is a competitive market and you think you're overpaying, call them and argue with them. But the thing is that you always have to be upbeat, friendly, and try to connect with the person that's on the other line. Because if you're an ass, they're not going to help you. They don't care. They don't care, you know? So if you're like super nice or asking how their day is, you're just being super friendly and wonderful, then they're going to do their best to get your rate down, right? But if you just call them up and say, I'm paying too much, I don't want to pay it anymore, I'm going to switch services, what are they going to do? They're going to be like, oh, I'm sorry, sir, there's nothing we can do. But if you go on there and you're like, hey, how's it going? Hope your day is going well. I've been looking at my phone bill lately, and I just think it's a lot more than I would be paying if I switched to a competitor, and I'm considering switching. So I was just wondering if there's any special offers or anything you guys could do for me to lower the amount I'm paying. oh my God, they'll come up with something for you. They will. And if they refuse to, ask to speak with their supervisor and see if their supervisor can do anything. Because oftentimes the first person you call can't help you. They don't have the ability to lower your rate. But if you can get on with their supervisor, which they will do everything in their power to prevent you from talking to their supervisor, especially if it's an overseas call center. But you can convince them and get a little mad sometimes, sure, but just do try to be friendly and connect with them, and you will see amazing results. Also, when you're at the grocery store, you have to look carefully at the prices and shop smart. And yeah, sure, you like the paper towels with the lumberjack on it more, but how much is it worth to you, right? Is it better to buy the store brand? For me, okay, I'll admit it, I still buy the lumberjack paper towels because I love them. I think they're really good. But what I do is I buy the half sheets. Instead of the full sheet, you can buy them with half sheets. And I realized a half sheet I only really need a half sheet because that's like a high quality paper towel. And so I end up using half as much paper towels, and that's huge savings. And if you can try to figure out how much you're saving, put the extra amount into your savings account rather than just spending it on something else. And there are just so many examples of the little things that you pay too much for. Like that Netflix account that you don't really use anymore because you got Hulu, and Hulu's just a better fit for you because you like TV shows more than you like movies, or maybe you like movies better than TV shows, so then cancel your Hulu account, you know? There's just so many like things that we pay monthly for that you don't necessarily need to pay, that you don't necessarily need to be paying for, and that money could be going into your savings instead. All right, so my third strategy is really abstract. So it's lifestyle creep. I don't know if you've ever heard the term lifestyle creep before, but if you haven't, this will be interesting to you, I think. So lifestyle creep is the idea that as you begin to make more money and you're in a different situation, your lifestyle changes, you begin spending more money than you were before when you had that worst job, or before you got that raise, or before you got the promotion. And so the biggest thing is just to be conscious of it. We can never stop it completely, and we shouldn't stop it completely, because maybe there are things right now that you want, and if you made a little bit more money, you'd probably get those things. And so yeah, if it's something like that, if you really love to see movies and right now you don't have the money to see a movie, but if you made a little bit more money, you could go to one movie a month. Yeah, if you get that raise, go to one movie a month. But just be conscious of it and try to slow it down, especially when it comes to things that you don't necessarily need, like that $2,000 set of fly fishing gear or whatever it is. Don't allow yourself to fall victim to lifestyle creep, because it's silent. You know, you don't even realize you're doing it at the time. Like for me, it was buying more expensive beer. When I got a new job, I was working a pretty crummy job. Well, it wasn't crummy. I actually really enjoyed it, but it was as a server. Wasn't making very much money, and then I found a job working for an insurance company, and I started making a lot more money. So I realized that I was buying more expensive beer. I was going out to dinner more. I was going to more expensive dinners, and that's fine. I still buy more expensive beer, but I also try to buy less expensive beer and switch between them to save a little bit of money so I can put more in my savings account, because I really do enjoy it. If you really enjoy it, you got to do it, but not at the expense of your savings account, if that makes sense. So if you get a raise or you get a new job that pays more, put more into your savings. Also, if you plan to buy a new car, find out how much your insurance will go up. Find out what the taxes will be on it. Think about those tiny little expenses. If you're trying to buy a new house, check the tax rates in the area. Especially if you make a large amount of money, this could be very important for you. You could end up paying a lot more than you think you would, or think you will. Also HOAs and everything like that, but that's pretty obvious. It just comes down to knowing that every single dollar is important. Every single dollar that you spend, look at that dollar that you're spending and say, how much happiness does this bring me? Would this do better in my savings account, where I can potentially save for a big purchase that would really improve my life, or even put it into like the stock market or something like that, which will be for later episodes where I'll explain my stock strategy and how I allocate my savings once it reaches a certain point where I feel secure that if I were to lose my job, that there would be many, many, many months until I would feel like I was in danger of like going hungry or something like that. But yeah, that's for another episode. That's just what I want to stress. Every single dollar is important. Look at every single expense that you have and be a cheap bastard. Do it. Like, why not? Like, when it matters, don't, obviously. Like, don't be that guy that tries to get your buddy to pay for your bar tab, because no one likes that guy. Be a guy people like, but still look at every single dollar and say, is the product that I receive from this dollar, does it bring me enough happiness to spend that dollar on it? And this is a classic economic idea. We're going to go into economics a little bit here. I apologize, guys, if you're not a fan of economics, but you should be, because it's cool. So opportunity cost, that's what it's called, opportunity cost. So the idea of opportunity cost is that whenever you make a decision, a financial decision, whether it's to buy a $5 cup of coffee at Starbucks, the opportunity cost of buying that $5 cup of coffee at Starbucks are the other things that you could have done with that $5 bill. Like, you could have, I don't know, what's a good example? You could have gotten a breakfast burrito at Santiago's, if you guys have a Santiago's. Good breakfast burrito joint in my area. But there are other things that you could do with that money, and that's opportunity cost. And so that's what you're really looking at. You're looking at, is my purchase worth it, or am I just doing it just cause, without even thinking about it? Is it lifestyle creep? Am I just spending more money because I'm making more money? Because that doesn't make any sense. Unless it brings you enough happiness to make it worth your while to spend an additional dollar. It's the same thing with the extra hours you work out. That the extra hours that you work, like the overtime hours. Like, you have to value your time. This is probably a topic for another episode, but we're going to keep going with it. You have to value your time. You do. Because you think about it, okay, maybe you could make $20 if you worked an extra hour of overtime. But that's at a cost to you, because you're losing an hour that you could be sitting on the couch watching TV, and oh man, do I value that time. I love sitting on the couch drinking a beer and watching TV. Or an hour that you could be spending with your kids or your wife or on your hobby. Like, you have to look at your time as important. And so if you're going to spend your time on something, if you're going to work that extra hour of overtime, you got to think about what you're giving up, because you could use that hour to do something else that might bring you more happiness. All right. That's going to be it. I just want to truly thank you for showing up today. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have. I'll see you next week. Thanks for watching. Okay, so I definitely forgot to do the voting aspect of the video. So if you guys do agree that you can talk to these call center people or the people at the bank or whatever it is and get them to waive fees or late charges or cancellation fees, which is a type of fee, and stuff like that, please click that like button. If you disagree, if you think they're just impossible to talk to in general, or most of the time you won't have any success when you do try to talk to them, click that dislike button. Let's see what opinion is more popularly held. All right, bye guys.